You started your cricket early days with the Cockaleachy Cricket Club, that's true, and what can you tell me about those days?
I remember coming home from college. I was 15, Vin Pedler was 14, and a scratch team it was. Anybody who could play, and for opening bats, Vin and I were sent out to open the batting against Tom Marney from Mount Hope, who just clean bowled Badron on the oval in Lincoln.
He did. He dismissed Don Brabham in 1939, if my memory serves me correct.
Yeah, and he didn't hurt us. He good thinking.
Yep, he pulled his pace back a bit. Just
Not going to hurt these boys. So we both enjoyed, got a few runs each, and that was the start of our teamwork there for Cockaleachy. Cummins had one or two teams. Yelena had a good team.
Yes.
I got to know those guys, all farmers, all made many friends over those early days playing with them. And we talked cricket. Of course, we're coming champions. We were doing so good. We're going to go.
And then, of course, the war come along, and so there was no cricket for 3 or 4 years. And after the war, you commenced playing with Ungara. What can you tell me about those early days?
Yeah. I will mention before, about a year before we went to Ungara playing against Lincoln teams, Mark Fasey was the best leg back bowler I'd ever seen before or since. He had talent. And so then on to Ungara, yeah. I was 22 years old then.
And that came about by way of you moving or purchasing, or father purchasing farming land at Butler Tanks?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right. I started up there, a young raw recruit into a strange country.
Yep.
It was a sudden change away from the style of living, which was mostly sheep, to mostly manual labour, picking stone and working with a plant that wasn't all that well equipped for the job we're trying to do. I'd never seen any stonework on the ground before.
Yep.
And the paddock we started on was the stoniest on the farm, so you know the name we called the paddock. Stony Paddock. Still, the Stony Paddock got a marvellous record. A very strong ground underneath it. But yeah, I still love going on it.
Yep. So, you know, after you, I think, several years at Ungara, and you obviously had a good career there, and then Ungara went into recess, or they may have, I think, by memory, joined Cummins League. So you then came across to play for Tumby Ramblers.
Yeah.
When the two clubs, Ramblers and Rovers, who were under the Tumby Bay Club, chose to form their own teams. So what can you tell me about those early days and some of the players that you started playing with the Ramblers Cricket Club?
Well, I was touching the penny a little bit whether to join the Yellender Flat cricket team or Port Neal. I don't think I considered Lipton, but eventually I decided, family-wise, we had the shack here in Tumby, and most weekends, Peggy was in with the girls to play on the beach, and they became such close friends with the Schramm family, similar age. And so I said, I turned up cricket practice for Ramblers. I'm going to play for you guys. And they hung on. Okay, because I thought they were going to get a better deal, I think, than what they finished up with.
Well, the Ramblers Cricket Club were the beneficiary of that decision. You played approximately 14 seasons for the club. You were captain for one of those years, along with being the club president for 11 years. So you invested a fair bit of time with the club. You won or played in 3 premierships in 62, 63, 64, 65 and 71, 72. Any recollections of those grand finals and the celebrations afterwards?
Well, many of those days, my cricket enthusiasm was very, very high, and I just wanted to be amongst that group of players playing out there, whether we were batting, bowling, fielding. I just loved to be there. And I can remember skipping, going out to field on a bad hot day. I'm in the game.
You're so excited to be playing.
I was so pleased to be playing. Mm-hmm. Yes. And one thing I want to mention, when I first started playing, and against Port Neale, and Bill Davey and Medium bowler and batsman for Port Neale. Bob was 14, others younger. The fact that his boys were playing with him, I thought, what a happy situation. Bill seemed very, very happy about that, and I aimed for that all the time I played cricket, and I was rewarded.
Yes.
Because David played with me from junior colts, about 14. He came back from college on holiday and parked Fogarty in the field, saw me wandering after a couple of overs. He said, I wouldn't hesitate. He'd seen David bowl a leg break, and he knew what I was thinking. Can I make a little fella bowl against Les Lewis? And so I got David to bowl, and Les didn't know what was going to happen, and he shaped up, and David bowled, and the ball pitched and bounced, and off Les's bat straight up, I'm down on the ground. Les looking around. We nearly had you then. Oh, I knew where the ball was, he said. And he didn't have the slightest idea what was going to happen to that ball when it pitched. But it pitched and flipped, spun, as you saw him do at times, yeah.
So that would have been a very proud moment for you, Butch. And I remember talking to you one day, and probably your most proudest moment in cricket is when you already been awarded life membership at the Ramblers Cricket Club, but to watch your son be presented his life membership, and then you become a father-son combination of a life member of the club. That must have been a very proud moment for you.
Yes. I was still struggling to play, and they were struggling for players to go to Cleve Association match. And so I was at the selection meeting when the team was picked, and the others said, well, Butch, are you willing to be skipper of this team? And I suppose so.
So that's a very proud.
To have David playing in the same side.
Yes, yep.
We're going to get up here and go through these Cleve guys. Anyway, we got up there and walked out to look at the turf pitch. It was soggy wet. They'd have the sprinklers on overnight. Absolutely useless to a spinner.
Yeah.
Useless. Only bowler, not a fast bowler, but a medium pacer who could just move the ball a little bit that far off of, you know. So they put us in, and we didn't make a very big score, and we ran second. But could have been worse.
Yep. Yep.
They were good guys. Adrian Masters was the skipper of the team against us.
Yep.
Spoke nicely to us. I think I forgot to respond, probably. Anyway, that was a game in history that I'm proud of.
Yep. So lots of proud moments. And as I said, were you? Can you any recollections of David when he received his life membership? Was it a club function or a wind up or?
I rather missed the question. Well,
Sorry, so one of your proudest moments would have been when David received his life membership.
Oh yes.
Yep. Do you recall that when he received
Yes,
his life membership?
in the Tumby Hotel.
Yep.
No doubt you were there.
Well, possibly.
And Bugsy Cromer was skipper, and he asked me if I'd come forward and take this life membership badge to David.
Wow.
So I pinned it on David's shirt. Very happy occasion.
Yeah, it would have been.
Very happy indeed.
Yep.
Good memory.
Yep.
Still there.
And well earned too. Now I want to cast your mind back, Butch. Not a great time for you. It's October 14th, 1973. You're 49 years old, and you're playing Charlton in a pre-season match at the Tummy Oval. Batting first, Ramblers are soon in trouble with 2 wickets down for 2 runs. You come out to bat, and after scoring just 5 runs, you were struck on the temple and fall to the ground. The blow to the side of the temple resulted in you being airlifted to the Royal Adelaide Hospital for emergency treatment and hospitalised for 10 days, after which a month followed spent in the outpatients with a speech therapist teaching you how to talk again. What are some of the memories you have of that day? Particularly, I remember you telling me you had to sit in the hospital up at Tummy Bay, waiting to be seen to, where you had almost a life-threatening injury, I suppose. So, what can you tell us about that?
Well, George Hanna and David and somebody else, possibly Dean Dunn, took me up in the car to the hospital, and I remember them taking me in, and all sorts of groans were coming from me. I can recall that because I didn't know what was going on, but they got me inside, and the doctor was there and asked me various questions that I couldn't hear much, and couldn't understand it. They said, "Here's a pencil, write down the message," and I promptly dropped the pencil about 3 times. So they put it in my left hand, and I've never written in my left hand, but I write Peggy in shack going home soon, and passed it to them. So they sent a message up to Peg at the shack, yeah. And so Chris was still a single girl then, and she was the nurse, and she said, they'd stripped me, and she went over to the cupboard and said, "Butch, what is this?" My mouth wasn't working too good. Oh, 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 silly me, I know what it is. It was my box.
Oh, yeah, you brought your box to the
They
hospital.
put that on the
You
shelf.
didn't know what it was.
Yeah, so that's little memories are still there.
Yeah, that's great.
Chris, she's a great girl.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
So a lot of rehab. You as I mentioned, you went to Adelaide and you spent a fair bit of time on there getting back on your feet. It affected long term your speech, and I remember you telling me that you might have played 1 year too long. Was that purely because this accident, or you thought that at the age of 49 you should have retired?
I should have retired, yeah. Less mobility.
Yep.
Sheer joy of being out with all the team.
Yep.
Kept me going there.
Now, David, I'll ask you this because you played in the same game. What was running through your head when your dad's taken to hospital and you're still playing the game?
Oh, it was frightening, because you end up, when that happened, I was still, and to replay it, whether it was like a beanball, and next thing you know, bang. And I know he's a competitor, and lying on the ground there, and it was, yeah, the heart gets going, and he's right with, I think I had Blue Falcon, took him down to the hospital, but you're living in the unknown, and when, as we've seen in recent years, you get hit in the head, and yeah, it certainly wasn't good for the next couple of months, that's for sure. And that day, I was, yeah, Dad's memory is certainly, as you've seen, is far better than most of us, and to relive that, but it was a shocking day, and it didn't put us off our cricket though. He fought on and still held positions after that. So
Yeah, well, that's what I'll touch.
his recovery was.
When I was landed at the Adelaide Hospital, it took an hour, 2 hours to be accepted in there. And a little girl with a broken arm alongside of me, crying her heart out. And a doctor now and again came and listening to what he could hear. And only words he'd say, "You've got brain damage." Well, that was a lift upwards, different, isn't it?
Yeah, yep.
My brain is gone. God. I found out first, Trevor Chappell was admitted the same day. He got hit in the head fielding out on the Adelaide Oval. I knew nothing more of that other than reading it in the paper next day. He recovered okay, good on him.
So two good outcomes there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, as David mentioned, you certainly, your passion for the Ramblers Cricket Club didn't wane. You went on to remain president for a few years after that. Yeah, I think you told me that you enjoyed scoring for a time and umpiring.
I loved the game so much I kept on scoring.
Yep.
And that was no loss, only gain to me.
Yep.
Lost to the fellas, whether they wanted me slurring speech, etc., trying to talk, I don't know.
And of course there was always
All history.
Yeah, and of course there was always a social side too, with the Ramblers Cricket Club, well known for their a few quiet beers after a game. Also the groups trips, which are legendary. Anything you could tell us about the groups trips that you went on and the enjoyment you would have had at going to those trips?
One thing I remember clearly about the Ramblers cricket trips over there was there's never even a loose can left laying on the beach. Ramblers left that beach in pristine condition. Everybody hopping in, dug the big pit, put the cans in, the chopped bones, the eggshells, everything. It was absolutely pristine. And I know at least one occasion, probably, possibly the last one, Dean Dunn and I stayed the only ones on the island to make sure there was nothing showing next morning. And when we
Packed up.
tent down,
Yep.
put it on Dean's boat. And I'm proud of that, that we left it in such marvellous conditions. All the team cooperated without being bossed onto anything. They naturally, as a team, just pitched in and cleaned everything up.
That's great. Now, also, what I want to touch on is 1951. You go to the Country Carnival, and I do have here the Advertiser Cup somewhere. That all the teams, I think there was 40 odd teams that competed in that carnival in 1951, and Tumby were lucky enough to win it. And you are just one of two.
Not lucky enough.
Well,
They were good enough.
of course.
Big point.
And of course, you're the one of only two living members from that team.
Yes, I can remember most of the fellas. I knew most of them, but a couple I hadn't known. One who was, name's hard to,
I can help you because I have a photo here somewhere of the team.
yeah. Anyway, mostly I knew them or knew of their families on Air Peninsula. So it was a very happy team, and I knew I was lucky to be playing in it. I can only think recently that I'd come from Cummins to Tumby, and Ken Bailey was looking for junior talent, hoping for more than what he got, because I didn't supply much, but enthusiasm.
You're very modest, Butch.
Enough for him to take me many times. Anyway, he asked me to go, and through the whole of the carnival, I thought I was taken as a batsman, and I didn't make many runs. Only once I looked like making runs. I had a magnificent on drive, which I rarely can do. It was so good, I took off for a run straight away, but a guy was there to intercept it and ran me out because me mate didn't back up. Anyway, that's only part of it. I loved it. And I was in those teams, each talented team, aging fellas are slower, so Gubby and I were partly chosen. We were the runners. We kept up and were we keen, of course, and Gubby like lightning on the field, and so I don't think either of us made any runs to speak of. So get a catch in the field now and again, that lifted their enthusiasm. We got one, yeah, and so we were very, very happy fielding fellas, Gubby and I, and so lucky looking back on the fellas. Yes, on the night of the presentation, the team who ran the carnival, the advertiser, they came to Tumby and put on a dinner to all the fellas in the team. And during the course of the evening, Ken naturally spoke of the help he got from his team, the players, the, all of them, what they did, and the batsmen, how they made their runs, the bowlers, how they got their wickets. And he said, I recall at one stage, I tossed the ball to Butch to bowl, and he licked me as though that cricket ball was a bomb. I don't even bowl at Dunn, let alone at the Carnival. He said, you're bowling, Butch. So I sent her down the wobbler, and the batsman got totally confused about something, a bit of a hit, out, and Ken remarked, a wicket with his first ball on turf pitch. Butch mentioned to everybody in his time. He's a great ambassador. Ken, he could speak well.
Yes.
And so that's memories that have stayed in thoughts in my mind.
Yep.
Of those days, yeah.
Yes, of course, Ken Bailey was the captain and organiser of the team and for the Tumby team and for a lot of years. And Ken actually achieved an amazing feat of taking 1,000 wickets in the Carnivals over a period of 21 years, which is quite astonishing. So he must have been an exceptional cricketer, Butch.
I was very happy to be asked to be at that dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And Ken said, would you like to be at the dinner tonight?
This was in honour of his 1,000th wicket, which they had
his 1,000 wickets.
Yes, they had a dinner, if I recall correctly, at the Southern Cross Hotel in Adelaide, and Victor Richardson was there.
Yeah.
So that would have been a great occasion.
A rough old codger, more of a farmer type of attitude at times, but he tells us so many lively stories about the sporting, and in his junior days he was captain of the state cricket team, as the state 18, and the table tennis team. He's captain of the 3 in the state that year. A marvellous sporting feature.
The grandfather of the famous Chapel Brothers. So.
That's right, to come.
Yeah.
So, in so many ways, I've been gifted in the people I've met. Fancy hang on to Vic Richardson saying,
Yep.
and he
A great memory.
all over the world.
Yep.
Sport.
Now, Butch, I want to ask you about a story. It's a bit of myth in the club, or we'll find out today whether it's fact or not. But after the celebrations of the 1971-72 Premiership, I believe you went out to the racecourse for your after-match celebrations, given that back then it's probably still 6 o'clock closing at the pub. And so you had a bit of a show out there, and of course it was getting cold at night, and the fire was starting to, it needed a bit of a pep up there. So you grabbed the scorebook of the day and threw it on the fire to keep you warm. Is that correct?
I think it was Ross Davey who threw that scorebook on the fire. And that was a week before we went to Cleve.
Okay.
And we had I had to go to Lincoln to get a scorebook. They had none in the shop here.
So we can blame Ross Davey then?
I blame him, yeah. I didn't do it.
Because all these years later, of course, I'm trying to update the records for the club, and I can't find this missing scorebook. So that's...
dear. Right or wrong, no, that's my memory.
Yep. All right, well, I'll rewrite history there. That we'll put place the blame with Ross Davey. Now, in your career, Butch, which is long spanning, so we talked about your early days at Cockaleachy. You played right up until your unfortunate accident there, and then still involved with the club up until you played bowls. But Who's some of the best cricketers that you've played with or against?
I played, well, as bowlers, I mentioned Mark Vasey. Well, his son, Ron, desperately wanted to be a demon fast bowler, and he bowled his heart out, trying to bowl quick and move the ball up. But eventually he found that he could cut the ball off as a wronger. So he became a spin bowler, and he captained an Air Peninsula team to go to Adelaide many years in succession. I don't know how many, but quite a few. He was exceptional. And coming into Tumby, then, of course, I knew of Ken and
Ken Bailey, yep.
And Les Hurst was playing in our Angara team. I knew of him. And I've mentioned how I'd known Bill Davey and Bob and the younger boys as Colts growing up a bit. And also Frank Richardson was then known as the best batsman around. Yep. He was the most correct batsman around, very, very good, to such an extent a man taking a team to England and Europe, he asked
Frank to tour with them.
Frank to go with him, and Frank was able to go.
Yeah, he was actually the vice captain in the end. So.
Yeah, broke a finger in slips one day, kept him out of a couple of games over there. But they played all over Europe,
yep.
Holland, Germany. Sounded me afterwards. I thought, Germans playing cricket? Such was it, yeah.
And of course back then it wouldn't have been a quick trip. They would have been on the boat for probably a couple of weeks, over and back, and I believe they played cricket just about every day, sometimes 2 games. So it was a big tour.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a great honour, and Frank, probably the most correct batsman Air Peninsula that I ever knew, and a gentleman with it.
Yeah.
Good. Yes, others, of course, you take wickets. One of the most talented perhaps was Scotty Potrell,
Okay.
because he could do the unusual thing. And quick as a flash, and a gifted tennis player, high on the state rankings, but nobody could compete on Air Peninsula, so he played cricket, made many hundreds, played for Rovers, and I've seen him do things even in country carnival, possibly, but in some of the games over there, that is, he was fielding at short, mid-on, not real short, but about 7, 8 yards, and whoever bowled down a medium pace ball, and the batsman flicked it on the half volley to square leg. Nobody there, the batsman thought, but there was Scotty laying on the ground with the ball. He anticipated the bowler and the batsman, and he was there and he caught him out, and the look on that fella's face, there was no fielder there to catch that. And that was Scotty.
Yep, very
To
tough.
have guys like him in your team. Yeah.
Yep. Now, I guess within the Ramblers Cricket Club, I mean, you spoke about the association and opposition, but within the Ramblers Cricket Club, and I know you're probably loath to speak about your son, and but he formed a magnificent partnership with Dean Dunn as spin twins.
That was phenomenal.
One bowling the leg break, and the Dean was more of a, was he off? A bit of everything.
More of a
Bounces.
drifter and a move of the ball off the pitch.
But between them, they took over 1,000 wickets for the club, and they were both honoured by being named in Ramblers' best ever team. And they're actually this weekend we've got the cricket reunion for the association for 100 years, and both are in the squad of the best 50 cricketers in the association's history. So, you know, that must have been very handy to play on the team with you got Dean Dunn and David Fitzgerald as bowling.
I could skip around the field anywhere. I didn't play a great deal of time with David, I don't think.
Probably about 6 or 7 years. You know, you were back and forth from Adelaide.
David played many years after I was hurt, after I was injured. But those games, I could skip around and anticipate where the batsman would play the shots, whether they'd run or not going to. I'd just stand there and virtually dare him to hit it near me and run.
G'day.
And mostly they'd hit at it and miss it.
Yep.
They were great days. I wouldn't change any about.
Very good memories.
And of course, all the guys, I knew every member of the team personally, as social friends, and others couldn't be committed with us. Junior boys, very, very young boys, learning to play the game, and days choosing a bad finish, but you can't have everything, can you?
Oh, well, you've certainly enjoyed your time in cricket.
Certainly had a lot, yes, but I'm proud of this.
Butch, you first played in the association back in the 1940s after the World War II, and our records, although they are incomplete, I can credit you at least 3 centuries. 2 for Ungara and 1 for Ramblers, including your highest ever score, 158 not out against Potrell in February of 1958. Do you have any recollection of that innings?
I certainly do. Absolutely bewildered at Ross Davey. His attitude to the game is opening over. I couldn't believe this. I could believe the field is set, but the way he bowled it, he bowled about, start to play, away we go. And he put in a bouncer that nearly hit his foot in front of him. It was so short and 10 feet over the top of me. What on earth is he doing? Must have slipped. Anyway, 2 or 3 more. Okay, I know what he's doing. He's got Bob Davey there just in front of him. he's going to go bowl a good length ball now, and I'll defend it and put a catch straight to Bob. They'll have a wicket first over. But he didn't quite pitch it right. It was a half volley, and I knew I had to shift that fielder. So as soon as he bowled it a bit short, I just let go, whang, and I watched the ball sail 50 yards over the gum trees, and the ears of the fellas watching it.